Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Today we will be looking at the brand new release by Revelot. This is the latest watch. It's just been released on the 27th of August of this year. Now by now you should know who Revelot are. They popped up around 2018 and they have made a very few noticeable models. I still have the Hex Mariner 39mm in my collection. Now they have now released a 41mm racing inspired chronograph named the Mecadromo, and they've released it in 10 different insane colorways for our enjoyment. So let's get the techie stuff out the way first before we take a closer look at the finer details. So starting off with material specifications, we have two case versions, a 316L steel and then the hardened DLC coated option. You also have a box style sapphire crystal with AR coating, an aluminium bezel insert and 100 meters of water resistance, featuring a screw down case back and a push pull crown. The movement used here is the very faithful Seiko VK63 Mega Quartz chronograph movement. Now in terms of measurements, it's got a 41.5mm case diameter with a 12.5mm case thickness inclusive of that thick crystal. You've got a lug to lug of 48mm with a 22mm lug width, and it weighs around 100 grams on this matching leather strap. Now regarding the colors, Revelot do go all out with their color palettes in pretty much all of the models, and there's no exception with this Mecadromo. We have a total of 10 unique and vibrant colors, and rather than explain what they are, it's definitely much easier for me to show you. So all the color combinations are quite unique. There's lots of vibrant and bold colors paired up which give a very striking visual. It's definitely a watch to stand out. And it goes without saying, you can see the heavy motorsport inspiration behind this design, and as with a lot of chronograph watches, but this watch does take it a step further, which you'll discover as we look deeper into it. So a few of the colorways have already sold out, so don't wait too long if you see the color that you like. The one I have in hand is called the Petrol Teal, and you can see the colors do really make it stand out. You've got the bright teal green against that black background with splashes of red and a bit of orange, and that all together makes the whole watch really pop. So regarding the price, Revelot do aim to set very reasonable prices. I don't think I've ever come across anything excessive from them previously. So this model does have a few different prices depending on the colorway, but they do start from around £145 and they go up to around £188, which is more than reasonable, especially if you consider that Seiko released their reissue speed timer at around £600. So let's take a deeper dive at the watch face, and some of the design cues utilized here, they represent the motorsporting world. Now the main thing is going to be that dial background. This version gives us an asphalt-like texture, of course to represent the racetrack. Now it's worth noting that they do also offer three versions with a fully loomed dial, and those are the ones without the textured dial. You then have the subdials, which again have that race car theme behind the design and color choice with red accented intervals and divided backgrounds, except that subdial at the 6, which is plain in color, but it does have that concentric texture and that small white simple seconds hand. You've also got very broad hands. They've got really good length, great linear brushing to help with that legibility amongst all the bright colors, and that solid red stick hand which mimics that speedo hand. Now even the applied hour markers are detailed. You've got linear brushing with beveled edges, but there's another two unique design features present. We can see a race flag style minute track which looks really cool, and the markers alternate, giving that checkered flag effect. And then if you look at the bottom of the dial, we'll see that small circle similar to what you would have seen on the classic race cars and the numbers, and the date wheel has been made with a custom typeface to represent those numbers that you see on the side of the cars. Now the dial also has some lume on here, but even though they state it is BGW9, there just isn't a lot of it applied, which means you get very tiny dots on the hour markers, and of course those strips down the center of the main handset. Now I think they could have made it a little better, perhaps with some lume subdials, maybe the lume chapter ring. Of course it would have been more cost, but it would have looked so much better. Now moving on to the case, firstly the bezel is made from aluminium with that printed tachymeter scale. Now while the printing is all crisp and very nice, I think a steel alternative with engraved and lume filled markers would have been a lot more awesome, but this does match the watch just fine. Now the lugs on the case, those are something I want to point out to you. They're a little difficult to see with the DLC coating, but they are faceted. You've got some really lovely lines on the case, and the case is also machined really well. The lugs do stick out very slightly on the case, but you do get a very defined look due to those facets and the shape. Now the chronograph pushers, they are flattened at the top, so it gives you a nice flat surface for when you do use the chronograph, and they have a very satisfying click. I really do like how they operate. It's a very mechanical feel. Now the crown is also a very decent shape and size, and it is a push-pull crown, and it is very easy to use. Now the case back is steel with the design etched onto the case back with the usual specifications. It's been finished very nicely for some consistency, and you do get a slightly hologram effect the way they have etched that design in the case back. Now they do provide the watch on this thick leather strap. It's of course color matched with that rally style perforations, and these are all bespoke to the different colors available, and it's a really nice touch to add some color there. You also get a very large buckle which has been faceted and beveled with polished edges, so some very nice finishing, and it's complete with the logo. But I think this watch has all the potential for you to pair it up with some really colorful and out there straps. You could choose anything, but I would prefer this on maybe a rubber strap for myself because my wrists are just a little small for the leather straps to fit properly. But once you get it on wrist, I feel the watch does look good on the supplied leather strap. It does fit fairly nicely to the wrist, but the watch itself has really great dimensions, and with that 41.5mm case diameter and the 48mm lug to lug, I think it will fit a whole range of wrist sizes, and the case is quite comfortable, and of course it's very light as well. So I think it's quite a different chronograph out there. I think the main thing being is the colorways, and you've got so many available, which means the watch will look very different even if you choose the steel or the DLC version. So it's really up to you guys which one you choose. So other than that, there's nothing else really. There's no real cons with this watch. There's no real issues. I do like what they've done. It's quite a unique look, quite a unique design, and they've tried to put in a lot of sort of race inspiration behind the dial and the theme, which I really love, and I like that about Revelot just as a brand. So I'm actually keen for you guys to share your thoughts on this below in the comment section, and that's it from me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.